Welcome to Orthodoxy in Appalachia, where I am sharing the lives of Orthodox Christians living in this region of the United States. I really appreciate you being here. We have over 100 subscribers now. I'm really shocked. Again, let me just thank you. I'm so happy that you're part of this community. I thank you for all the wonderful comments and the notes that I've received. It's really great to hear from you, and I'm thankful to know that these videos and sharing these stories are helping other people. That's a God thing, and I'm very, very grateful. So today on this episode, it is with much gratitude that I am sharing with you the story of Gia Meiggs. She is from my home parish at St. Nicholas Orthodox Church in Beckley. I've had the privilege of getting to know Gia a little better over the last year. She's just a wonderful person, a wonderful human being, a very talented person in the kitchen. She has her own bakehouse, and I'm a customer also. She makes delicious treats, award-winning cakes. Can't recommend her enough. Her story coming to the Orthodox Church is very unique, and I'm very grateful that she was willing to share it with a wider audience. And so please enjoy. Okay, so I'm with Gia Meiggs of St. Nicholas Orthodox Church. Thank you, Gia, for sharing your story with us. Can you tell us a little bit about your backstory? What faith did you grow up in?
My parents were Norse Pagans. If you've seen like the Viking show, Odin, Thor, and all those gods. So I grew up learning about them and kind of following that path. I fell away from my parents at a young age, and after that I looked into Wiccan, I don't know, the witchcraft kind of stuff, not in a bad way, but more in a elemental, earthly way, and that just never felt quite right.
What do you remember from growing up? How were those gods worshipped in your home?
So I was a child, so I didn't maybe participate in the same way as my mom did, but I know like my mom was into I guess you'd call it like a shaman. Like she had I don't know what you call it, like the cloth, and she had runes like engraved on wood or stone, and we went to like some kind of big gathering. I guess it's kind of what you imagine a pagan type ceremony to be, with just a whole bunch of people, bonfires. Like we went to this group one time, but we kind of were very isolated. So it was mainly just teaching us about the gods. They taught us how to write in runes. Odin was the head god, and even though I grew up in the Norse Pagan religion, we very much followed like a golden rule type philosophy. And Odin was like the main god, and he knew, kind of like how we think of, God or Jesus, he knew everything I was doing. He knew my heart, but there were other gods a part of it too.
Okay, and when you say the golden rule, do you mean that in the sense that Christians mean that as in do unto others as you would have them do unto you?
Yeah, and
kind of thing.
Not lying to your family or friends, respect.
So there was some virtue attached to.
Oh, yes.
For example, you mentioned about the runes. I'm not aware of how people would use those as a religious practice.
Well, I can only say but so much because, again, I was a child, so I had a very distant view of it. But I know that, runes were first off for writing, so we learned how to write with the runes. But my mom would also use them as a form of divination. And they were just a normal part of her ritual that she would perform. But that's pretty much as I know about it.
What led you away from paganism toward the Christian faith, and where were you in your life at that time?
I thank God that I was put in a position where I left home at a very young age, 15 actually, and I never was able to reconcile or reconnect with my parents. My now husband, his parents, I met them when I was young. They were very faith-based. They gave me the good news when I was 15. Of course, it didn't really stick to me, at that time. I mean, so many years of, my parents just bashing Christianity. Like, I just always saw Christianity as weak. My parents would say it's just a weak religion. The people were all sheep, and they didn't say it in a good way. So it was really hard for me to accept it at the time. But I am very thankful, though, now looking back, that I was able to get away from my parents, because I feel like if I was still under their influence, I don't know if I would have ventured into Christianity at all. I think they just would have prevented me.
But there must have been something in your heart that pushed you away from paganism. You said even early on when you were a child that you didn't feel right.
Yeah, when I got away from their Norse pagan beliefs, and then I started trying to find my own path, and then so I would venture into the, like the Wiccan, and just not really that long ago, Eastern religions. Like, I looked into Buddhism, like yoga, which was very enlightening. I mean, I'm very glad that I researched that, and because honestly, that was I feel like that was a bridge in my mind from the pagan Norse to Christianity. I don't know, somewhere there was a bridge. I can't explain it. But I think honestly too that I credit my stepfather's parents. We would visit them. They were out of state, and they were very devout Christians also. And when we would visit, they would offer for me and my sister and my mom to go to church with them. My mom and sister would not go, but I did. And of course, I had to hear about that from them. They didn't per se like that, but I felt like that was probably the little seed, because to this day, the people who are still in my life are my grandparents. And that, I think that really helped shift my perspective, because, they were the ones who were always there.
You went through an exploration of so many different faith traditions, and you're not the first person that I have heard say they had gone through Buddhism. I think either Father Seraphim Rose wrote some about some of the Eastern religions. So that's fascinating that was a bridge for you. So as you continued your exploration and study, how did that continue to lead you toward the Christian faith?
Even though I really appreciated and enjoyed the people of Eastern religions, I mean, they are really beautiful people, very loving. They're just, something just didn't quite, I wasn't getting the answers or that I was looking for. Just something just didn't really quite feel right or complete, I guess is probably, maybe there was just a hole still missing. So my husband, he's been listening to Jordan Peterson for years, like maybe 10 plus. Like even before Jordan Peterson was really on the map, he listened to him, and I would listen to him, on and off, not to the same extent, but let's see. But when Jordan Peterson really started coming on the, showing up on the map, and I was starting to listen and follow his journey towards, is there a God, and, Christianity. If anybody knows Jordan Peterson, they probably know what I'm talking about. And, I just listened to him, and over the years, just kind of following in with him, it just made so much sense. Well, basically, God and Jesus Christ had to be the answer, and just truth. Especially nowadays, like just the way the world is going, I think it like really kind of pushed me towards Christianity too. Hearing him, how the world was just like at odds, I just felt like there was just this big divide, and it's like you either got to pick that side or this side. It was very, very apparent, and that I couldn't ride the fence anymore, which I feel like I just feel like kind of Eastern religion was maybe like riding the fence, maybe. That might not be right, but I just felt like I was kind of on the fence, and I had children, and I'm like, well, do I want to see them in this, in this group or that group? And I was like, I was like, it's very obvious. I want them to hold up the principles of good Christians. And
becoming a parent really makes you have a different perspective there too, doesn't it?
Yes. So I started exploring. I've had long-term kind of emotional hurt. I mean, I've had a complicated past, which coupled on top of another instance in my life, I found myself in this cycle of constant emotional pain and hurt. And it was like what they say when people say that your heart hurts, it can really hurt. I was literally having pains in my chest. I was having panic attacks. It was just me, like everybody that I trusted, that I thought loved and cared for me, they were just gone, and it was me, and I felt so alone and so hurt. And this was all around the same time I'm listening to Jordan Peterson. I'm starting to do my own research on the Bible and like history of whether I'm like, is this Jesus guy real? Like, I started watching like archaeological type documentaries, like trying to piece everything together. I finally decided yes. So there was a night where I was just, in a lot of pain and crying, and I gave myself to Jesus. I prayed to him and I said, please, I can't do this anymore. Like, can you please help me? I believe in you. Just please help me. And I'm going to use the word magic because that's a word I know, but it was maybe a miracle. Like the pain, the literal pain and the panic attacks and the anxiety just disappeared. Like I have never felt, I mean, of course I still have issues with, that stuff, but that just heaviness and pain just gone. I've never had it. It's never come back.
What was your first encounter with the Orthodox faith?
So during all my research, I was still very traditional and ancient culture minded. And I knew that, that there are all those different denominations, and I just knew in my heart that I wouldn't feel right if I didn't find the most ancient and, most traditional form of Christianity. So I just was doing all this research, and I started reading about Orthodoxy, and to me it was an instant click. My husband, on the other hand, who's on a different path, I mean, he's definitely more this way, but he grew up as a Protestant on a very strict kind of Southern Baptist home. So he wasn't telling me not to investigate Orthodoxy, but, he has reservations. And I had actually already messaged Father Samuel and let him know that I was interested in coming to visit, and we had an appointment set up to meet. The night before, I was talking to my husband. Kind of gave me cold feet a little bit. He was just happy if I went to a Baptist church. And so I kind of got like a little put off. I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't, investigate this. Maybe I should really just go down the road, because this church is an hour and 20 minutes from me. I'm like, I should just maybe go down the road and just go to a good old Baptist church. So next morning, I canceled my appointment with Father Samuel and apologized, said, maybe some other time, I don't know. But I actually happened to have a doctor's appointment right down the road from this church in the same day. That's why I had, them scheduled together. So I had also already bought an Orthodox study Bible. But since I was kind of getting cold feet and deciding I wasn't going to go this direction, I packed up the Bible, got in the car. On our way to my doctor's appointment, I stopped off at the Postnet and had it sent back to Amazon. So then I went to my doctor's appointment, and when I walked into the door, and there was just this nicest, most charismatic man sitting behind the desk, and I walked up to him, and he asked me for my name, and I told him it, which is Gia. And he's like, Gia, he's like, you know how long I have just been sitting here waiting for you to tell you how beautiful that name is. He's like, do you know what that means? And And so with my background, my mom always went with Gaia, Mother Earth, Mother Nature. So that's what I told him. And he's like, no. He's like, your name is the feminine Italian form of John, which means God's precious gift or precious to God. And how he said it, and he's like, I've been waiting for you. And then he said that, like, I even get like goosebumps now, like my whole body just like tingled, and I had like all these goosebumps all over, and I still get it. Like, I just felt like I was just enveloped in something, and I was like, I don't know. So we just kind of talked, and I found out we had a lot of similarities, and he was a man of God. He just talked to me about his faith and, him and his family, and it was just very beautiful. So I had my appointment. I got back in the car, and I picked up my phone, and within maybe a 2-hour period, Amazon had already sent me a new Orthodox study Bible book. That quickly. Within like 2 hours, I had a message saying that it was already shipped and coming back to me.
Wow.
I don't know. When I saw that message, then it just hit me that I must have been on the right track, that God was trying to tell me I was on the right track. And I messaged Father Samuel again, and I said, I want to come and see you. And I told him the story.
So you had a good meeting then with Father Samuel?
Oh, yes. I brought my 4 kids. It was the first time they had ever set foot in a church. And it was just, it was so special. Father Samuel was so loving and warm, and it was just so
everything was meant
great.
To be. Mm-hmm. God was directing you in many ways that day to lead you right here to this church.
Mm-hmm.
So, Gia, when did you decide to become a catechumen and want to join the Orthodox Church?
Instantly.
Really?
Yeah, with everything that happened to me and just the experiences in my Orthodox Bible being thrown back at me, there was just, I've been searching for years to have the feelings and the experiences, through meditation, through, worshiping other gods. Nothing felt like it did when I accepted Jesus Christ, and when I was asking him, because I was praying for direction on which denomination or which way was the right way, and just those experiences that I just relayed, there was just no denying. So when I came here, I knew instantly that this is where I was going to stay.
Glory to God.
When were you baptized and chrismated into this church?
It was April 20th, 24. Me and my 4 children.
Oh, just last year.
Mm-hmm. Yep, almost a year.
Who is your patron saint?
Saint Joanna the Myrrh Bearer.
And why is it her?
It had a lot to do with names, because Gia, John, Joanna. And I guess I just kind of identified with her. Well, I like things. She was a more wealthy type woman, and she gave it all. She would donate like her most expensive stuff to the church, and I just felt, not that I'm rich, but I kind of have that. I like my things, my little trinkets, and I just identified with her and her sacrifice.
Yeah, I was going to say, what the sacrifice is because you appreciate your things, mm-hmm. and what that sacrifice is to give it to someone else.
Yes.
Who may be in need.
Mm-hmm.
What a beautiful story, Gia. I'm so thankful that you're here. Thankful that I've had the opportunity to know you better. So, just last question: What is your life like now, living the Orthodox Christian faith? Would you say it's more full, or how would you describe it?
It's completely different and very full. I feel like I have a community. I never really felt like I belonged with anybody. We had friends, but I always felt different, or it just never felt quite right. But I come here and now I feel like I have friends and family, and everybody's just so supportive and loving, and they're encouraging me, and I'm finding that I'm doing things I maybe wouldn't have had the courage to do a couple years ago, like start my own business, and my whole perspective on life has just changed, and I don't have the same worries anymore. I just kind of give it up to God. I mean, obviously I don't, just put my hands up. I do everything I can to my best ability, but I know in the long run, I only have but so much control, and it's very, very freeing. And I'm addicted to coming here. Like, even if I drive, it's almost 3 hours round trip to come here, but, it's very worth it. You just want to always go back. It's like somebody said, it's like you don't come here for a couple weeks and you just feel like you need your medicine. Like, and you
Very
just,
nourishing.
yes.